We're doing like a post-game interview thing or something.
with ourselves.
We've never done that before.
How do we feel about stuff and junk? How's Age of Rebellion? As
I enjoyed
a
it.
concept.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I love the world. I think it's fantastic.
You like Star Wars?
Well,
This feels more Star Wars than the first one did. Like, this feels more like the movies. It feels more. Yeah. It's got storm. It's just more rebel stormtrooper. It's got the.
Well, I think as the game's designed, you're getting closer to the actual core of the world. Started in the Outer Rim, and now you're.
Which is weird. Because you usually start with your strongest and then go into like Pathfinder starts with core rulebooks and then goes into more specifics, whereas this has gone for the kind of like the wider world and then tailoring into what people want, and it's really
maybe they're trying to get the system right before they went on to more the ones that really.
Well, I think maybe they're building up a sense of anticipation before they bring in the Force and Jedi.
Yeah. In terms of tonally, I love the sort of the instant connection that I had to the world. I thought that was really great.
Always been really good.
And you can kind of quote the movies and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, what I didn't like is this. I didn't like to see Luke and Leia and Darth Vader and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's somebody else's story, and we're creating our own story. So I kind of didn't like those appearances by those on the books and things like that.
Yeah. D6 had a similar situation where they had pictures and photos from the movies, as I recall. It is hard to get away from it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas actually the Empire sort of did, because it was able to detach itself from it, and the pictures are a lot less about the movies.
Well, I feel kind of strange saying those two things together, because I liked the connection to the movies and I didn't like the artwork. So
in a way you can't get away from the fact that a blast door is a blast door and a stormtrooper is going to miss. And Luke, Leia, and Han. They are interconnected.
Yeah. They don't miss that bad in this version, or from the previous one anyway.
Mind you, we had communication problems with ours, so we were very cool.
I mean, you just can't put the main characters into it really. Like if you put Darth Vader in, you're gonna want to kill him. Because and then what do? You can't mess with the timeline, so you have to avoid all this stuff as much as possible, which is kind of sad, really. Yeah.
Or they're like Cthulhu and they just don't die. No matter how many times you hit them,
They're clones.
Oh no, his spaceship got hit away and it goes at light speed.
What do we think of the system? Like, we've done the system before, but we haven't played it for quite a while.
That ran a lot better than the first time we did it. And like, I don't know about you guys, but I found that just ran a lot smoother than when we first were looking at it. I think we got a little bit better at reading the dice.
You get faster at scanning the die.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, like when you're looking for a single success and you haven't got one, you're like,
oh, I rolled.
Really? And so there is that little delay. There is still a sense of satisfaction when something goes epically right, but it's not as instant as a D20.
Yeah, I just don't see the necessity to have such a complicated system to ensure a degree of success or goodness in success or advantage. I think either a percentile system or a D20 system where you just make it, or you make it by a lot, or you just fail, or you fail by a lot. I think that basically builds in the narrative ability to have success with advantage or epic success. Or
I don't know. I think I quite like the have a disadvantaged die, take that into a challenge die. I quite like that. Oh, it's diff 3, which you can't do.
I think there are more elegant ways of doing that.
I quite like the that, then that, then that, then no, that's that. Oh, okay, right. Oh, nah. I quite like that as opposed to just saying it's a higher diff. And especially in some games.
There are descriptions too of what's going on in your hand even before you've rolled it. You know that the boost dice is because you've done something fancy. You've got your expertise dice and everything.
I mean, I think that adds a different element to it as opposed to your DC is too high. Which doesn't have that same kind of. So yes, it might be smoother and more elegant, but that to me has a more evocative feel.
But I think in terms of human perception, I think seeing 6 pips turn up a lot of times, you roll it, you can instantly see 6, 6, 6. Oh, there's a lot of 6s there, kind of thing, or there's some big numbers.
Right.
And the other thing, just adding devil's advocate there for 1 sec, is the really cool thing about this is that you can succeed massively with disadvantage. So you can critically succeed with a disadvantage, and it just changes. Like you can't do that with
do that with D20, absolutely.
Or any of those kind of.
And
things. But not saying that, just saying that's the kind of.
But I mean, did we really use that very much? Did we get a success with a disadvantage in it. It felt.
Well, we did it a couple of
I think
times.
he does,
And I
yeah.
think that it really gives the GM a chance to.
Yeah, there was like even the boon that turned the advantage that turned into like a disadvantage with the appendage that got freed and things like that, where you've got the chance of something good happening where someone can get hurt, but also you've got some environmental thing which can change the situation.
It's like the old, you open the door and critically open it, and there's no security systems except there's a stormtrooper on the other side of the door who turns around and looks at you. It's kind of, it opens up for those kind of elements.
And the difference between the stormtrooper having his back to you or facing you can be the difference between an advantage and a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like, I think those are the little descriptive things which are quite interesting.
And
I think also we're playing in front of camera, so we're trying to be as quick as we
Yeah.
possibly can, and that really does change how we perceive the game to be.
True.
Whereas if we're at our leisure and we're slowly building our dice and rolling, I think that actually would be different for us.
And the other thing is the big moments I found when we're rolling, like, you're like you're
that's
going
pretty cool.
4 of these,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
and then you got 4 of these, and we got extra ones, and then you roll it. There's still that anticipation of, hang on, okay, what just happened? Because the bigger the moment, the more dice, the more confusion.
And there's a couple of things I think. One is that if the perfect dice rolling system had been invented, and some people say it's D6, some people say it's the D4 system, some people say it's the D20 system, that is the be all and end all, and there are people who think that. But there are others who say, no, I want to experiment with different systems. So there are D8 systems and D12 systems and this system and other pool systems. There are also those people who love rolling a lot of dice.
That's true.
I want to roll a handful of dice, not just one die. And so I think this, in a way, caters, and it is just a separate system, and it's a unique system.
The
to this
wargaming
game.
kind of.
With Numenera maybe being the extreme of the single dice roll and the fact that GM doesn't even roll the dice, that's probably the biggest extreme version of it.
So I think that it
and this is another option.
It appeals in various ways to different aspects of the game, and I think that it does become a quicker.
And perhaps it encourages role playing in combat, and perhaps we actually don't need as much encouragement to role play and
to get
put
these
twists on necessarily. But perhaps if you're in a group that could use encouragement to think, oh wow, I succeed, but there's some disadvantage. Oh, I have to think creatively now and actually think about the environment or which way people are facing, or the guardrail giving way or something. I mean, maybe that's a great thing, because that's something we're all about as a group, is encouraging people to make battles really cinematic.
Well, in the
first
hour of that game, it felt like we didn't really roll die at all, because we were doing everything socially and everything we role played. And then as the combat came closer, we started rolling more die, and then as the mechanics of you got to get the ship out, you got to get the ship ready, more die came into play.
I love the ability to help others.
Yeah, that's lovely.
And then and they just get an extra.
Well, that was cool. That's right. When I'm holding 4 of these, and then there's 3, and I'm like, okay, and then he sort of says he's going to help, and suddenly I can go, that's right, and like, oh, okay.
And to me, there's part of me that
Yeah.
prefers that to you get a +2.
The other thing is, it's you go like this, right? You have that right, and this actually may not help you, or it might help you. Like if you roll a d20, that's just +2, so you automatically add that to your difficulty, and you don't count that at the end. But having that in your hand, it's something awesome and gives you a little bit more hope before you make the roll. So,
but at the same time, there were a couple of die rolls where we were rolling 12 die and then blank. One success, one disadvantage. I make it, but I rolled so many die. I feel like I should have one picture on it. Yeah, that does it. And you're like, there's almost like a dissatisfaction. You're like, yeah, I do it. Like, I was expecting more from that handful of dice.
What's interesting is that the successes and failures are mixed up on the dice. Perhaps if you had one agree, and let's invent a new system, which is much better, because we're brilliant.
Quick, well, we're just on the spot.
For me, that's right. If I rolled that and that showed me degree of advantage and disadvantage, and I rolled this and this showed me degree of success and failure, then I'd be able to. It's the fact that they're mixed up and the symbols are hard for my brain to interpret quickly.
Makes it harder to kind of scan them
when
and find out.
when it's success. Hang on, that's 2 of That's
but do you think that's just practice?
And
maybe,
I mean, the fact is that the D8s,
recognition.
the D8s, the D12s, the D6s are balanced within themselves.
And the other thing that kind of throws it for me is when you get to these dice, the sizes of the symbols are different sizes, and it's kind of another kind of thing you have to overcome.
It almost would have worked better with colours. Where
that's what I was just suggesting.
Where each dice had the colour fixed to it rather than a symbol.
Yeah.
Then you can just read a single coloured.
Yeah, so lots of green, lots of red.
But that's going to be a lot more
expensive.
Dice, maybe,
I'm just saying.
Or you're doing here's a blank die that you're going to put your own stickers on.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you get a bit of crayon, you can colour it in.
Crayons. Different coloured crayons for the
Is there an element of greedy corporatism to this? Like they've designed these dice that you have to buy in order to play the game?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's another kind of way they make money.
You haven't got miniatures, so like if you really want to...
Although if you want to buy their miniatures game of X-Wing, you can buy it.
And they have got, they have got the...
I do like
They have got the tokens in the starter boxes, so presumably there's going to be more of those as they bring out each set of cores.
Yeah.
I just like going back to Star Wars.
These too.
Yeah.
I don't know that we use them as effectively. I didn't.
No. But again, that's experience.
If the GM used them, it means we would have more options.
They did.
I mean, I think one thing though,
make it harder for you.
When we play a D20 system, we roll a 20 way more than 5% of the time. Whereas tonight we had one triumph die.
Yeah.
I mean, we had triumphs through numbers of successes, but it almost felt dissatisfying because we just tend to roll so many in a D20 system.
Yeah. Although other games we've rolled fairly large amounts, but we got no despairs either, which is interesting.
True. Not one.
Yeah. So as far as using a adventure from the back of the book goes, I wonder if we should talk about that just really briefly.
How did you change it?
So I didn't change massive amounts to it in the end, but what I did do is I brought in a character at the start of the game which gave you purpose. So the Bothan at the start, I tried to give him motivation that he had a cousin that had been killed.
Really? A Bothan cousin dead?
But also, a means with which you'd be able to rise up in the ranks, and also a means for you to be able to get a really cool ship and that kind of stuff.
So did you feel that the purpose for us being on the adventure as written wasn't as strong?
Well, the purpose of the adventure is actually based off something that you guys didn't have, which we would introduce. I was going to introduce in the next game, which is the motivations. I think they're called not destiny or something.
Yeah.
They're called. Should be written.
Motivations.
Motivations and duties and things like that, which are like the reasons why you joined the Rebel Alliance. Okay. And so the idea is that either you get called into these duties as they come up, or you find your duty on board. So whatever was in that container was supposed to have something to do with your duty. So it could have been rescuing some slaves in there, or it could have been secret information. And so instead of doing that, which I find kind of a bit fiddly with 4 players,
each different.
Or it could be, or it could just be an emphasis for one over the other. But I thought to start off with, I'd give you something that is a shared experience right from the start.
And I think the way, like Ben was saying, the way we play, a lot of that actually came out of the backstory that we gave our characters.
So for me, the most powerful motivation of all was just Vala Prul, that was really fun.
We could tell.
That's right.
You won't be able to see that because, of course, it's all been blurred out.
Taking you off her was great.
That was great, yes.
Just fantastic.
So a personal relationship, which we had to basically...
Kill her, weren't we?
Oh yeah, we were going to kill her.
We were meant to kill her.
Yeah, I mean the idea was
the
idea was that your ship that with her with you compromising the safety of her station and basically infiltrating that she would lose her power.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, having that personal relationship, good or bad or whatever, and then having a dynamic within that suddenly gives lots of motivation and meaning to everything we do.
Yeah. Well, I think a role playing game can actually be about a good NPC. Really.
Yeah, she's kind of screwed as well because she added us to the manifest to be able to get on the ship that we stole.
Her computer added us to the manifest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she did.
From her personal computer.
Yeah.
And also adding the Jedi aspect to it. Especially
was that in the
no, nothing like that. I just wanted to bring in the idea of Jedis in a way that would be inaccessible for you at this stage, but give you a bit of a chance to explore Jedi.
Cool. I was amazed that the rodents were actually part of it.
I know that's when he came up with that pest control thing. I'm like, what? I mean, this is a bare bones adventure. So the fact that you found pest control kind of things in there, was awesome.
But you made me feel so special that I have some future mysterious connection with the Jedi Force and I'm being spoken to directly. That makes me feel just like so cool as a character.
Yeah. It's a great thing about the Force. It just brings power.
That's what didn't Obi-Wan say? It's easy to manipulate the weak mind.
Yeah, that's right.
So I just connection or just
player and PC.
Well, when I was making my droid, it was like can't be affected by the Force. You're like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, better take that out.
I'm not going to be doing
I can't wait
anything
to see actually what Force and Destiny bring to balance Jedi, because I mean one of our biggest criticisms of Star Wars D6 was you can play Jedi or you can't play Jedi. You you don't have the chance of playing them both together because the balance issue was so terrible. So it's really interesting what they'll do with Force and Destiny.
I'm really interested to see if they actually go along and they just don't do Jedi lightsaber, because I want to see a Jedi who has a gun. I want to see a Jedi who is
so uncivilized.
But you know what I mean? The thing is, I just want to see what kind of options they're going to run into. Because the thing is, you look at this, right, and the options in the book are actually really big. And when you combine, Age of Rebellion with the Age of the Empire, and then the next, when you combine them all, there's going to be so many different options in terms of sub categories that the amount that a player can actually choose is going to be quite large, and so you can actually specialize it in the way that you want. And just being able to get it's going to be, once again, you'll have your typical Jedi, but you're going to have
you really can mix and match.
Anakin is a Jedi of pod racing, isn't he? For instance, Anakin Skywalker when he's little.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he eventually becomes a Jedi
and he's
racing cars fast.
But what about a Jedi?
Really just took all the power and specialness out of it. That's right. You're a Jedi of racing cars.
But the thing is, you could go along. You could go along and say, he's also Darth Vader. Just
not yet.
Spoiler. You go along and you look at you look at is there an opportunity for a pilot specialist who is connects with the force of space and actually is able to
well, I think
do jumps without astral timing,
after the Battle of Yavin, but not before Endor or anything like that. And so there are no Jedi orders or anything. So all these.
But in a way, what you're saying actually has to go back. Prior to that's early Jedi before they get eliminated with all those amazing Jedi options, as opposed to when they're reborn as a Night Force to keep.
Do you think they're waiting for the new movie to come out so they know what?
No, they're ready at the beta release.
The beta of the next release. But whether that means that there are going to be more games, that's a very fantasy-like thing.
How much money have you had to spend so far on the 3 versions? Has one?
2 versions.
Yeah.
2 versions. About 120. Forget the core, the starter, and the
separate cores for each different.
You don't need this or the starter.
You don't need it, but that's very pretty.
This is like 56. I don't know. It depends on Australian.
I think if you're paying, I mean, obviously we shop around on the internet and get the best price possible. But if you're buying that retail in Australia, it's 80. This is 30.
It's a lot of money.
And the box set's 30.
Good on them. Good model.
So you're looking at 120. So you're looking at 240. Just not really. That is a lot to get into a game. I
will say that the one big disadvantage I reckon with this game is that you can't get PDFs of the core rules, and I think that's just huge for me. I like to jump between PDFs and this. If I'm on a train or something, I don't want to lug around a gigantic book everywhere. To have PDFs is just so important, and quick reference guides you can quickly jump through.
Searching text.
Whereas this, it's just a huge hunk of a book, and I think it's just the licensing with the Star Wars franchise. You can't. Most of it. But anyway.
Cool.
There we go.
So we like it. Yeah. Some parts we don't like. The other thing is the dice. There's no storytelling and the ability for you to bluff. We know exactly on the board if it's broken or not. If we're going to do it or not, we see if we're going to succeed or not. There's no ability for you to control the story.
I think absolutely. We definitely should have different dice systems, and it's great that people are mucking about with them and strengths and weaknesses.
Because you don't find the perfect dice system if you're going to experiment.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think also one of the things we've said in the past is that we don't have a perfect dice system. We enjoy D6 for Star Wars D6. We enjoy percentile for Cthulhu. We love D20 for D20. So I think that we, in a way, aren't that. We're actually quite willing to explore dice systems, but we'll have favourites. But favourites within worlds that suit narratives and suit game style.
Could you imagine doing percentile in Star Wars? It would just be like...
Well, that was my experience with D20 for Star Wars.
It was hard.
I had a great dislike of it,
Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we rave on even further, thank you for joining us. Do comment below, because this is discussion, and your points are just as valid as ours. And like and subscribe and share these videos.
Thanks. See you next video.
Thank you. Bye.